Rachel Boucher, Head of Content at Event Marketer, here in the Connection Point at the Experiential Marketing Summit. I'm from Event Marketer. We produce EMS, and we're excited to bring a few off the show floor conversations to you amid all the action at the show here in Las Vegas. My guest today is Sylvia Lopez-Navarro, National Manager of Brand Experience, Corporate Events, and Auto Shows at Kia America, where she leads strategic initiatives spanning corporate events, auto show programming, dealer and consumer-facing events, and experiential marketing activities. She is a past Event Marketer Women in Events honoree, award winner, and today serves as a member of our Experiential Marketing Summit Advisory Board. So Sylvia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Rachel. Always a pleasure to see you.
And I'd like to talk to you today about building emotional connections with our event attendees. Kind of a hot topic. And I wanted to start by showing you an object and asking you to tell me what immediately comes to mind from the heart. Okay,
I'm excited.
So here it is. I have it in a little baggie here. Let me show it to our audience. Rock candy. What immediately comes to mind for you?
Childhood memories for sure. And you definitely had to be a good kid in order to get one of those. It would take a lot of brownie points, completing all the chores, I would say. And maybe $1 at that time was just a huge amount of money. So it definitely brings back a lot of nostalgia. I remember my grandma having them, I think in multiple colors. If I recall, I think they came in different colors. And for some reason, I would always gravitate to the pink. Regardless of the flavor, I just felt like that was the one that was always going to be the sweetest and always brought great joy. So every time I think of these, I think about my grandmother, Shoreline Village, and Long Beach.
And we kind of remember it. We remember in color, right?
Very vivid, very colorful, a lot of emotion for sure.
Yes. Well, good. I want to start with how you would describe a Kia Motors America experience. What's the vibe, intention? What are the non-negotiables? What is that memory that you want your attendees to walk away with a Kia experience?
Yes, I would certainly say the vibe is exciting. We are definitely creating, driving, reinventing ourselves because Kia just has come such a long ways. And I would say one of the things that's really non-negotiable, I would say for me as event marketer, is really the logistics. The event has to be flawless. That is the first takeaway. No matter what you do after kind of that initial start point, right? Just kind of the initial engagement, it's really hard to recover from that if it's indeed not flawless. In terms of just the brand in itself, like I mentioned, a lot of excitement. There's so much to be proud of with respect to like the engineering, the design, and really the experience that we're putting forth, right? I always feel like as a brand, there's a couple things that we really focus on, and I would probably say an MVP experience, and what I mean by that, it has to be memorable, right? That's really important. There has to be value, and also it has to be personal, because I feel like if you miss that human connection, then you don't know what is the ultimate takeaway that consumers are going to walk away from, right? So I would say, in my mind, as we're building and driving these experiences, really that. And by the way, I just created that analogy as we're talking here today, because I've never used MVP, yes, but memorable, value, and personalization for sure.
Yeah. Vehicles are these big manufactured machines, and the way consumers connect with them is typically around lifestyle and aspiration. But I think when it comes to automobiles and vehicles, it's becoming a more nuanced conversation. It's less about engine power, right, and more about what's going on inside. And what does real connection mean to you in an event experience, and how do you make those connections with what's going on with automobiles?
Absolutely, as you mentioned, Rachel. I mean, really, there's no bad car out in the marketplace today, right? They're all beautifully designed, great tech, great engineering, but it's really about the connection with your car, right? And so when we think about the ultimate experience is how do we create an experience where consumers come to experience the brand for the very first time, right? How do we build for that? And so for me, ultimately, I think about as a consumer coming onto the show floor for the first time, what are the key takeaways? What do I want them to walk away knowing from our brand, right? So it's about being able to offer key insights not only about the brand, but about our vehicles. And so one of the ways that we're doing that is really through engagement. And I know it's a word that everybody is using, but it's really that meaning about what is that connection with yourself and the vehicle. There's something about this vehicle that attracted you, right? Again, it can be design, but it also can be just where you are in that stage of your life, right? Is it a sporty sedan or is it a capable SUV? And the beauty of it is in our lineup today, there's everything, right? From ICE, HEV, PHEVs, and really there's just something for everyone. So as we build these experiences, how are people going to gravitate to our story? Is it an activation on site, like an NBA activation that's really for the sports enthusiasts, that we bring them on board? And one of the things that we're doing now is the features on demand in our vehicles. So if if your children are into the Disney princesses, there's something you can do in your in-dash displays. If you're an NBA player, why not have your favorite NBA team on your dash? And again, these are all subscriptions, but Kia's really doing a remarkable job in being able to communicate lifestyle, culture through vehicles with consumers in a very intuitive way at all of our events.
When you talk about engagements, what's something that you've tried recently that worked really well, that provided an unexpected lift?
Absolutely. There's actually a couple, but there's one that I think is really unique to us, and I think it's very appropriate for the times as well, and that would be our V2H home. Our V2H home was part of a design build-up that we did, part of our auto shows, and we built out this really beautiful, kind of like a mini pop-up home within our exhibit display, and we used an EV9, the Kia EV9, which is a full-size EV SUV, to power the home. So that was our way of being able to demonstrate vehicle to load, and how in case of an emergency, this vehicle can actually help power your home. So we did it in a very, I would say, clever way, very genius way, but at the same token, it's again, when the consumer approaches this beautiful, modern, mobile, welcoming home, what is the connection with the home and the vehicle? And until you physically see the actual interactive engagement, it's intuitive. People understand that, oh, this car is actually providing power or being used as a power source for the home, right? So we feel like it's done really well in the sense that people gravitate to it, people are excited to learn about it, people ask questions about it, and very intentionally, it's towards the back of our exhibit display, so it draws people into the booth. And along the way, there's other activations, but that's one that is very unique. And again, it's very symbiotic for our brand in terms of building out this upscale, display exhibit. So that's something that we've been really proud of. We've seen the increase in our registrations, hand raisers, and dealer leads. And one of the things that really works in our favor is part of our launch with EVs, HEVs, and I would say all mobility. It's a great way to tell our story.
Yeah. I can remember a Kia America booth that I went into at CES a few years ago, and hospitality was something that I walked away with thinking, these people really cared about me and took care of me for a few minutes, and then I went through some really terrific interactive demos, but I felt like I had come home for a few minutes. So,
oh my gosh, yes, Rach, I do remember that was the CES V2H home, and it was an award-winning home. And again, we used sensory. That was part of a sensory journey. So sensory was part of it. You can hear the birds chirping. We had materials that you can touch and see, whether it was the elements that were going to be featured in the vehicle, whether it's the wood, the leather samples, and all that good stuff. So we had tactile things that you can physically touch. And you're talking about hospitality. We did have espresso that morning and pastries and sweets for all of our guests, as you recall. And so that was a big piece of it, right? And I think part of the brand is how you make people feel. And at Kia, we're constantly raising the bar to be able to bring that human connection for people. Yes, the vehicles are there. Vehicles speak for themselves because they're beautiful, they're one of a kind, and they're so unique in market today. But it's the entire experience that we really focus on to make people feel welcome and at home.
Yep. Taking a step back and outward, when do you feel the most human as a marketer or as an event attendee? What makes you feel the most human?
I would certainly say when people approach me, even after an event or during an event, and pull me aside and say something to the effect like, Kia, I had no idea. I knew the cars were great, but this experience has exceeded my expectations.
Love that, yeah. Okay, and to wrap it up, I thought we could play a quick game of this or that, which
Wonderful.
is one of my favorites,
yes.
Okay? First question is playlists or podcasts?
I would say say these days probably playlist.
I like it. Heavy rain or high heat?
Even though I was born in summer, I have an appreciation now that I've joined a book club. I would say heavy rain.
Digital or tactile?
Both are important. Can't live without, right? There's a balance, but I would say just because of my life, personal and professionally, textile for sure.
Yeah, we'll call this. Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
All right, well, Sylvia Lopez-Navarro, thank you so much for joining us
My pleasure.
here today, and have a great show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.